Alright, we are kind of done with acids and bases. We are going to do with salts as well. We are going to complete it with salts as well. But before that, we are going to attempt some questions and get a clarification on how things are asked and how we should attempt them. Okay. So here is a question out here. A milkman adds a very little amount of baking soda to fresh milk. Okay. Why would he do this? Okay. The reason why would he do this is because milk has a tendency to form lactic acid. Okay, milk basically forms lactic acid, and if this lactic acid content increases, then it slowly gets converted into curd. But this curd is not useful. See, there is a way in which we prepare curd, and there is a way in which milk will naturally make curd. By preparing curd, we actually are making something edible. However, if milk forms curd naturally, then it is not edible. Okay, then it cannot be consumed. How do you know, in your home you must have seen how curd is made. In the milk we add a very small amount of a good amount of curd from somewhere else, and that basically divides, because that is basically Lactobacillus acidophilus. That's a basically microorganism which keeps on dividing and turns the entire milk into curd. However, this is a self process. Okay, so milk forms lactic acid, and this lactic acid gets converted into curd, and this will make the milk inedible. Okay, this will turn the milk inedible, that is, it cannot be consumed. Hence, to fresh milk, so that it can be retained for a longer amount of time, a milkman will add a little amount of baking soda to it. Okay, just one moment here. Alright, so just in continuation with the previous sum, so as I said, the milkman will add some amount of baking soda, a very little amount of baking soda to milk, so that the formation of curd, which basically rottens the milk or rather makes it inedible, can be stopped. Okay, the formation of curd can be stopped. Okay. Why? Because I'm so sorry. This will make the milk inedible. This will render the milk useless. Okay. So in order to avoid a loss, he will add a little amount of. This basically delays the process. Okay. This basically delays the process. See, once it reaches the home, then obviously we boil the milk and keep it in the fridge. So wherein the microorganisms do not develop. So lactic acid is basically caused by the development of a microorganism in the milk. However, the curd that is formed here is not edible. The curd that we make artificially is edible, but this is not edible. This renders the milk useless, and hence the milkman basically tries to add baking soda. So why does he shift the pH of fresh milk from 6 to slightly alkaline? Because this will slow down the process, of forming inedible curd. This will slow down the process of forming inedible curd. Okay. Why does the milk take a longer time to set as curd? Now this milk will take a longer time to set as curd. Why? Because the curd that is formed, from lactic acid. Okay. Now once the lactic acid is generated by the help of microorganisms, okay, this lactic acid will need to first neutralize. Neutralize the baking soda. The baking soda which is alkaline. This is first required to neutralize the baking soda which is alkaline. Only then it will so that's how it will neutralize. So it takes a longer time to set as curd. The alkaline milk, which is slightly made alkaline by the addition of baking soda, will take a longer time to set as a curd, because that alkaline thing is taking time. Okay. Now potatoes grow well on Amay's farm, which has soil with a pH of 5.5. So Amay has a farm in which he is growing potatoes for a very long time, and this is supposed the pH value of the soil is 5.5. That's what he has tested the soil for. Now he decides to add a lot of lime on the soil because he wants to cultivate broccoli. Okay. So now he is adding a lot of lime on the soil, because he wants to cultivate broccoli. So you have to just understand this 5.5 is basically a pH of what? Is it acidic pH? Right? Below 7 anything is acidic. So 5.5 is basically acidic soil, and hence for do potatoes grow better in acidic or alkaline? Obviously acidic, because 5.5 pH is acidic. So hence potatoes grow good on acidic soil. Let's come to broccoli now. Does broccoli go better in acidic or alkaline soil? So obviously broccoli, he is adding, see, he is adding lime. Lime is what? Lime is a base. Okay, lime is a base which is CaO, or see, this is quicklime, and CaOH2 is slaked lime. Any form of lime is basically a base. We have understood and we have studied that bases are not only hydroxides of metal, they are also oxides of metal. Okay, so again, lime or quicklime or slaked lime, any type of lime is base. So the purpose of adding base is to make the soil alkaline. Okay, so does broccoli grow better in acidic or alkaline soil? Obviously it will grow in alkaline soil. That's the reason he is preparing the soil by adding lime to it. Okay, alright. Now we have this question. Hydrochloric acid reacts with the metal X to form a gas Y, which burns with a popping sound. So obviously, what kind of gas will this be? This gas will be hydrogen gas. We know this. Okay, hydrochloric acid reacts with the metal A. Okay, hydrochloric acid reacts with the metal A to give hydrogen gas. This is for sure. Okay, so any acid will react with a metal. This is not known to us till now, and this will give hydrogen gas. Very few metals will react with bases. Okay, very few metals will react with bases, and that's what is happening here. See, sodium hydroxide solution, which also reacts with the same metal X, which also reacts with the same metal. So sodium hydroxide, this also reacts with the same metal to form again hydrogen gas. Okay, now this is for every metal. Any metal will react with an acid to liberate hydrogen gas. However, this is not true for all metals. Okay, now this metal needs to be less than sodium in the reactivity series. So here we have understood that it is zinc. Okay, which forms Na2ZnO2. We have studied this. Okay, in this basically the cation is Na plus and the anion is ZnO2 minus. Okay, the cation is Na plus and the anion is ZnO2 minus. So here zinc, in spite of being a metal, is a part of the anion, that is a negative group. Okay, so this is an exception. This is also known as sodium zincate. This is also known as sodium zincate, and this is basically the hydrogen gas. This is the hydrogen gas. Okay, now in HCl also, if we replace this by zinc, so this will form zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas. Zinc chloride plus hydrogen, that kind of balances the equation. Okay, so this is the zinc chloride that is getting formed. Zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas. Okay, and this is sodium hydroxide again. This is sodium hydroxide. As we have to balance the equation, this is pretty much balanced. No, this is not balanced. So 2Na, that will give you Na2. Zn is okay, O2, and we have H2. This is hydrochloric acid, and this is zinc metal. So this will give you. Okay. So these are questions that might be asked. You will have to have a thorough understanding. If you follow the videos that I have created on acids, bases, then you wouldn't be having problems in solving this. Still, if you have, I will repeat more. I will take up more questions on this so that this clarifies your concept of how to use the knowledge practically. Okay. Okay, so we will do more questions here for clarifications on acids and bases. So the question here we have is, when a piece of limestone reacts with dilute HCl, a gas X is produced. When the gas X is passed through lime water, then a white precipitate Y is formed. On passing excess X, the white precipitate dissolves, forming a soluble compound Z. What are the products X, Y and Z? Okay, so when a piece of limestone reacts with dilute HCl, so limestone we know it's CaCO3, okay, calcium carbonate is limestone, and that reacts with HCl. So calcium carbonate reacts with HCl, a gas X is produced. So what will be the gases that will, what will be the compound that will be formed? Obviously, this is a base, as we said. Carbonates and hydrogen carbonates and oxides and hydroxides of metals all are bases. So this is calcium carbonate, HCl. So this will form CaCl2 plus H2, then salt plus water, and in addition it will form carbon dioxide. Okay, just to balance the equation, here we have 2 HCl. Okay, so this is calcium carbonate, that is limestone, reacting with HCl to form this. So this carbon dioxide, okay, the gas X, this is gas X, is passed through lime water, then a white precipitate Y is formed. So when you pass carbon dioxide through lime water, that is CaOH2, again what will be formed? CaCO3 plus H2O. Okay, CaCO3 plus H2O, and this is basically a white precipitate. CaCO3 is a white precipitate, and hence it will settle down. So if we just look at this, 3 plus 1 4, we have 2 plus 2 4. Okay, this is balanced, and this is a white precipitate, that is a white precipitate Y is formed. This is calcium carbonate. Okay, on passing excess of X, the white precipitate dissolves, forming a solution. So if you keep on passing it for a very long time, then CaCO3 plus CO2 plus H2O, this is going to form what? CaHCO3. CaHCO3 that's basically what? Calcium hydrogen carbonate, and this is soluble. Okay, it's an important reaction. See, this is limestone reacting with HCl to form calcium chloride plus hydrogen plus water, and additionally carbon dioxide will be formed. This is basically gas X. This gas X reacts with lime water to form calcium carbonate and water, and again calcium carbonate, if you pass this gas for a very long time, this will form calcium hydrogen carbonate, which is soluble. This is white precipitate Y, this is X, and this is Z. So we have identified the compound X. The compound X is carbon dioxide gas. The compound Y is calcium carbonate, and this is basically a white precipitate. This is a white precipitate and settles down. Okay, the precipitate arrow is downwards. While it is all forming a soluble compound Z. This is soluble compound. Soluble compound Z is calcium hydrogen carbonate. This is calcium hydrogen carbonate. Okay, alright. On adding dilute hydrochloric acid to copper oxide powder, the solution formed is blue green. Okay, so this is basically copper oxide, and we are adding, again, what type of reaction would this be? Copper oxide is a base. Okay, oxides, hydroxides, carbonates, and hydrogen carbonates of metals are all bases. So base plus acid will give you salt, that is CuCl2 plus water. Okay, so we can just balance this equation. Copper oxide plus hydrochloric acid, this is going to give you copper chloride plus. So predict the new compound formed which impacts the blue-green color. This is basically blue-green color. This is blue-green, and this is nothing but copper chloride. This is copper chloride that is giving us a blue-green color. Copper oxide plus HCl is giving copper chloride. Most of the compounds of copper are basically bluish or greenish in color. Okay, which is write a balanced equation. So this is a balanced equation. What can you say about the nature of copper oxide? What is the nature of copper oxide? It is basic. This is basic in nature. Okay, why is it basic? Because it is neutralizing an acid. It is neutralizing an acid. Basic because it is neutralizing an acid, and as a reason it is basic. How is the neutralization reaction of a carbonate with an acid different from the neutralization reaction of an oxide or a hydroxide? How is the neutralization reaction of a carbonate? See, you know that if let's say we take Na2CO3 plus HCl, this also gets neutralized and forms NaCl, okay, plus H2O plus CO2. Okay, so this will be 2 NaCl basically. This will be 2 HCl, Na2CO3. If we take sodium hydrogen carbonate plus let's say HCl, this will be again NaCl, same products form, H2O, okay, plus CO2. Okay, this is a metal carbonate, this is a metal hydrogen carbonate. Now if we take let's say sodium hydroxide, that is a base, plus HCl, it will form NaCl plus H2O. So if you look into it, how is the neutralization reaction? This is a neutralization reaction because salt and water are getting formed. Both acid and base, both base and acid are getting neutralized. But in addition to that, carbon dioxide is also formed. Here, between an acid and a pure base, it will be only salt and water. So acid and base will give salt and water. However, metal carbonate plus base will give salt plus water plus carbon dioxide. Again, metal hydrogen carbonate plus base is going to give you salt plus water plus carbon dioxide. Okay, so metal carbonate is going to give you salt plus water plus carbon dioxide. Metal hydrogen carbonate is going to give you salt plus water plus carbon dioxide. However, a base and an acid is just going to give you salt and water. Okay, so this is the difference between neutralization reaction of an acid with a base or with a metal carbonate or a metal hydrogen carbonate. So with a metal carbonate or a metal hydrogen carbonate, along with the neutralization products of salt and water, we are going to get an additional product of carbon dioxide. Okay, what happens to the concentration of H plus ions and the temperature of the solution when an acid is neutralized? So H plus ions, the concentration H plus ions reduce or become neutral because the H plus ions combine with the OH minus ions of a base in the neutralization reaction to form H2O. Okay, so the H plus ions will actually react with OH minus ions by the base to give water, and that's how we get salt and water. Okay, so H plus ions are neutralized. And what happens to the temperature? The temperature of the solution will rise. There is a reason why it will rise, which we will study in higher classes. But neutralization reactions are generally exothermic. Okay, so the temperature of the solution is going to rise. So these were some questions. You can take a snapshot of the same. Alright, so we are kind of done with acids and bases, and we have also done certain questions along with them. We will practice more questions on them. However, we will now move on to salts. Okay, so salts are equally important. This is a chapter of acids, bases and salts. So we come to a third phase of this chapter when we are referring to salts. Now, how we define a salt, or what basically is a salt? A salt is basically a compound that is formed. Okay, how do we define a salt? A salt is a compound formed when by replacing the H atom of an acid with a metal. Okay, so let's say from hydrochloric acid, if we replace this H by Na, it forms NaCl. Okay, let's say from H2SO4, if we replace this hydrogen by, let's say, potassium, so this will become potassium sulfate. Let's say a weak acid, or let's say these are strong mineral acids. So if we happen to replace this H by zinc, so we will get zinc nitrate. Okay, so this is sodium chloride, which is a salt. This is potassium sulfate, which is a salt. This is zinc nitrate, which is a salt. Let's take a weak acid, CS3COOH. So when we replace this by sodium, so this becomes sodium acetate. Okay, this is a salt, sodium chloride. This is basically a salt, sodium chloride. This is also a salt, potassium sulfate. This is salt, potassium sulfate. And this is a salt which is zinc nitrate. This is zinc nitrate. This is a salt, sodium acetate. Okay, so these are basically salts. They are formed when the hydrogen atom is replaced by a metal. The hydrogen atom of an acid is replaced by a metal. How are salts formed? We have already seen the basic reaction. Salts are formed by the neutralization reaction between acids and bases. Salts are formed by neutralization reaction between acids and bases. So we know that acid plus a base will give us a salt and water. Now one thing that we have to remember, we generally get confused that salt is basically something which we consume, right? We consume salt, but that is just sodium chloride. Sodium chloride, the technical name or rather the common name of sodium chloride is common salt. Common salt. The chemical name of course is sodium chloride. However, the common name is common salt. Salts are, so this is also a salt, this is also a salt, and this is also a salt. So let's not get confused by salt pertaining only to sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is precisely known as common salt. All these are basically salts. Okay. So how do we get a salt? Acid and a base will give you salt and water. Okay. Now we have basically family of salts. Okay. So first of all we will recognize family of salts. So family of salts. So let's say when we consider acids for the salt formation, when we are considering just the acid for the salt formation. So we can say chlorides, all types of chlorides. Let's say potassium chloride, let's say sodium chloride, okay, let's say magnesium chloride, okay, then we have calcium chloride, and so on and so forth. Okay, all these are basically chlorides. So the primary ingredient as an acid to form these types of salts will be hydrochloric acid. This will be hydrochloric acid. Okay. In the same way, we have let's say sulfates. Sulfates are what? Sulfates are salts of sulfuric acid. So the primary ingredient here will be sulfuric acid. Okay, sulfuric acid. What are the salts that we have in sulfuric acid? Sodium sulfate, potassium sulfate, calcium sulfate. All these are basically sulfates of salts. Okay. Then we have carbonates. Carbonates. They are formed by the carbonic acid. Carbonic acid. So what are these carbonates? Let's say we have sodium carbonate, okay, calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate. All these are carbonates. Okay, these are all carbonates basically. So they are formed by carbonic acid, which is again a weak acid. Okay, we have acetates, which are formed by one of the weak acids, that is CH3COH. Okay, that is acetic acid. Acetic acid. So what are these acetates? For example, we have CH3COONA. That's basically sodium acetate. Okay, formed by reacting sodium hydroxide with acetic acid. Then we have potassium acetate. Okay, this is basically what? Potassium acetate. So these are basically some salts and their families. Okay, so it's the salts of carbonic acid. So basically the salts of then we have nitrates. So these are basically formed by HNO3, nitric acid. Okay, for example, we have potassium nitrate, sodium nitrate, calcium nitrate. Then we have zinc nitrate. Okay, so these are all salts basically. Okay, so if we consider all these salts basically, so chlorides are salts of hydrochloric acid, sulfates are salts of sulfuric acid, carbonates are salts of carbonic acid. Okay, acetates are salts of acetic acid, nitrates are salts of nitric acid. The reason why we are taking acids out here basically is because acids, the H atom is replaced. So is it that only acids are supposed to form the family of salts? No, any family. For example, sodium family of salts. Let's say we can also say family of sodium salts. So in this case, family of sodium salts, what will we have? We will have sodium chloride, we will have sodium nitrate, okay, and so on and so forth. Sodium acetate, sodium acetate. So all these are family of sodium salts. If we say family of calcium salts, so this will be calcium sulfate, okay, calcium chloride, calcium nitrate. Okay, so we identify salts from both ways, from acids point of view as well as from bases point of view. So in acid, the metal that replaces this H atom is basically considered in acids part. So chlorides means salts of hydrochloric acids, sulfates means salts of sulfuric acid, and so on and so forth. Similarly, in sodium salts, these will be salts of sodium, there will be salts of calcium, there will be salts of potassium, and so on and so forth. So salts are basically formed primarily due to neutralization reaction. Okay. Now so this is a general idea about the salts. Okay, and we will talk more about salts in the next slide. You can take a snapshot of the same.